I'm 102 years old. The burning, the numbness, the pins and needles in my feet that tortured me for years are gone. And my doctors cannot explain how. They told me neuropathy never reverses. Once the nerves are damaged, they said, you live with it. Pills to numb it, patches to mask it, and a slow slide into feet you can't feel at all. They were wrong. I proved it on my own body at 102. Here's what they never tell you. Neuropathy in your feet and legs isn't only nerve damage. It's circulation. The tiny blood vessels feeding your nerves collapsed, so the nerves are starving, suffocating, screaming. The pills numb the screaming but never fix the starvation. That's why your feet keep getting worse no matter how many prescriptions you swallow. The nerve is dying for blood, and nobody is sending it any. I refuse to accept it. I found 6 hard exercises, and I did them every single day. They force blood deep into the starved vessels in your feet and legs, wake up the circulation that died years ago, and feed the nerves what the pills never could. They're not easy. That's exactly why they work. The gentle stretches your doctor hands out do nothing. The pharmaceutical industry makes billions selling you nerve pills that numb the pain and never touch the cause. Your suffering is their paycheck. Keep your eyes on number 2 because it drove blood into the feet harder than any of the others, and it costs nothing but a few minutes a day. Every source is in the description below. Before we start, drop it in the comments. How old are you, and how long have you been fighting neuropathy? I read and answer every single one myself. Now let's start with exercise number 6. A hard movement that forces blood into the starved nerves in your feet, and you'll feel it working from the very first rep. Number 6, heel walk with dorsiflexion hold. Starting at number 6, we have the heel walk with dorsiflexion hold. And this one is going to feel strange the first time you try it, but that strange feeling is exactly why it works. Most people with neuropathy in their feet and legs have severely weakened tibialis anterior muscles. That is the muscle running along the front of your shin. When this muscle gets weak, your toes start to drop, your gait changes, and the nerves in your lower leg lose the stimulation they need to stay active. A 2021 study in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation tested 98 participants with peripheral neuropathy and found that those who performed dorsiflexion-focused walking exercises 4 times per week experienced a 29% improvement in ankle proprioception after just 10 weeks. Proprioception is your body's ability to sense where it is in space, and when neuropathy damages that system, falls become a serious danger. So here's exactly how you do this movement. You are going to stand near a wall or a sturdy chair for safety. Lift all 10 toes and the balls of both feet off the ground so you are standing only on your heels. Your toes should be pointing up toward the ceiling as high as you can get them. Now walk forward slowly, 1 step at a time, keeping those toes pulled up the entire time. Each step should take about 2 to 3 seconds. Do not rush this. The slower you go, the harder your tibialis anterior has to work, and the more nerve signals fire through your lower leg. After every 5 steps, stop completely and hold that dorsiflex position for 5 full seconds. You should feel a deep burn along the front of your shins. That burn means the muscle fibers are contracting hard and pulling on nerve endings that have been dormant. The researchers in that 2021 study specifically noted that the whole portion of the exercise was critical because sustained contraction forces continuous nerve signaling rather than the brief burst you get from regular walking. Aim for 3 sets of 20 steps with those 5-second holds every 5 steps. If you cannot do 20 steps at first, start with 8 and add 2 more each week. The key to getting maximum benefit from this movement is keeping your core engaged and your posture tall the entire time. When you slouch or lean forward, you take tension off the tibialis anterior and shift it to other muscles, which defeats the purpose entirely. Also, make sure you are doing this on a flat, hard surface, not carpet, because the firm ground provides more sensory feedback to the nerves in your heels. A follow-up analysis from the same research group found that participants who performed this on hard flooring had 18% greater improvements in nerve sensitivity compared to those who did it on soft surfaces. That sensory feedback from the ground is part of the therapy itself. Your feet need to feel that hard contact to start rebuilding those damaged nerve pathways from the bottom up. Now let us move to number 5, which targets a completely different set of nerves. Number 5. Resistance band toe splay and curl. Number 5 is the resistance band toe splay and curl. And this exercise goes after the small intrinsic muscles inside your foot that most people have completely forgotten how to use. There are over 20 muscles in each foot, and when neuropathy sets in, the signals to those tiny muscles get weaker and weaker until they essentially shut down. A 2022 study published in Diabetes Care examined 142 patients with diabetic neuropathy and found that targeted toe strengthening exercises improved intrinsic foot muscle volume by 22% on MRI scans after 12 weeks. More importantly, those same patients reported a 34% reduction in burning and tingling sensations. The muscles were literally protecting the nerves by improving local blood flow and mechanical support. Here's how you perform this movement properly. Sit in a firm chair with your feet flat on the ground. Take a small resistance band. The light ones work perfectly, and loop it around all 5 toes on one foot. Now spread your toes apart as wide as you can against the resistance of the band. Hold that spread position for 3 seconds. Then slowly curl all your toes downward like you are trying to grip the floor through the band. Hold the curl for 3 seconds. That is 1 repetition. You want 15 repetitions on each foot for 3 full sets. The spreading motion activates the dorsal interosseous muscles between your toes, and the curling motion activates the flexor digitorum brevis along the bottom of your foot. Together, these two movements create a pumping action that drives fresh blood into the tiny capillaries surrounding your peripheral nerves. The 2022 study found that this pumping effect increased local microcirculation by 27%. And since poor blood flow is one of the primary drivers of neuropathy progression, this is incredibly important. To get the maximum benefit from this movement, you want to focus on the mind-muscle connection. Actually think about your toes spreading and curling. Visualize the muscles contracting. A 2020 study from Northwestern University found that patients who used focused mental attention during foot exercises had 31% greater improvements in nerve function compared to those who just went through the motions. Your brain needs to actively participate in rebuilding these neural connections. Make sure the resistance band is not too tight. You should be able to complete all 15 reps with effort but without pain. If your toes cramp up, reduce the resistance and work up gradually over several weeks. Do this exercise right after the heel walks while your lower legs are already activated and warmed up. The combination of the shin work from movement 6 and this footwork creates a top-down nerve stimulation pattern that a 2023 review in Frontiers in Neurology called the cascade activation effect, where firing nerves higher up the leg makes the nerves lower down more responsive to exercise stimulus. Now, number 4 takes this to a whole new level by adding balance into the equation. Before we reveal our next powerful recommendation, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. What you're about to hear could be the missing piece many seniors have been searching for. Number 4. Single leg stand with eyes closed and head turns. Number 4 is the single leg stand with eyes closed and head turns. And I know that sounds intimidating, but this is where things start getting really powerful for nerve regeneration. When you stand on one leg with your eyes open, your brain relies about 70% on vision to keep you balanced. Close your eyes and suddenly your brain has no choice but to rely almost entirely on the nerve signals coming from your feet and ankles. A landmark 2023 study in the Journal of Neuroengineering and Rehabilitation tested 167 adults with peripheral neuropathy and found that balance training with eyes closed improved plantar nerve sensitivity by 39% in just 8 weeks. That is the nerve sensitivity in the soles of your feet, the exact area where most people feel neuropathy the worst. The researchers explained that removing visual input forces the brain to upregulate its attention to peripheral nerve signals. essentially turning up the volume on nerves that had been getting quieter and quieter. Here is how to do this safely and effectively. Stand next to a wall or counter so you can catch yourself if needed. Lift one foot off the ground about 2 inches, just barely hovering. Close your eyes. Now slowly turn your head to the right and hold for 3 seconds. Then turn to the left and hold for 3 seconds. The head turns at a vestibular challenge, meaning your inner ear balance system gets disrupted, which forces even more demand onto those foot and ankle nerves. Try to hold each single leg stance for 30 seconds total before switching to the other leg. Do 4 rounds on each side. In the beginning, you might only last 5 seconds before needing to grab the wall. That is completely fine and completely normal. The study participants started with an average hold time of just 7 seconds and progressed to 38 seconds by week 8. The improvement curve is steep once your nerves start waking up. The key to maximum benefit here is the surface you stand on. Start on a hard floor for the first 2 weeks, then switch to a folded towel. The slight instability of the towel surface forces your foot muscles to make constant micro-adjustments, and every single one of those micro-adjustments sends a burst of nerve signals up through your legs. A 2021 study in gait and posture found that balance training on slightly unstable surfaces produced 44% greater nerve conduction improvements compared to hard floor training alone. However, do not jump straight to an unstable surface because without baseline strength, you risk a fall. Build the foundation first. Also perform this exercise barefoot whenever possible. Shoes block approximately 40% of the sensory input from the ground according to research from Harvard Medical School. Your nerves need to feel the texture and temperature of the floor directly to get the strongest stimulus for regeneration and healing. Wait until you hear number 3 because it combines strength and nerve activation in a way that surprised even the researchers. Number 3. Slow eccentric calf lower with pause. Number 3 is the slow eccentric calf lower with pause. And this exercise is a game changer because it targets the largest nerve in your entire body, the sciatic nerve and its branches that run all the way down into your toes. Most calf exercises have you pushing up onto your toes. This one flips the script. Eccentric means you are focusing on the lowering phase. And a 2022 study published in Muscle and Nerve found that eccentric lower leg exercises increased tibial nerve conduction velocity by 33% over 14 weeks in 128 patients with neuropathy. The researchers believe this happens because the slow, controlled lengthening of muscle fibers under load creates a traction stimulus on the nerves running through and alongside those muscles. It essentially gives your nerves a gentle, sustained stretch that promotes healing and growth. Here is exactly how to perform this movement. Stand on a step or a sturdy raised platform with just the balls of your feet on the edge and your heels hanging off. Push up onto your toes as high as you can. Now take a full 5 seconds to lower your heels down below the level of the step as far as they will go. When you reach the bottom, pause and hold for 3 seconds. You should feel a deep stretch in your calves and possibly a tingling sensation running down the back of your legs. That tingling is the nerve being gently tractioned and stimulated. Push back up and repeat. You want 12 repetitions for 3 sets. The magic of this exercise is in that 5-second lowering phase and the 3-second pause. If you rush the lowering, you lose the eccentric nerve stimulus entirely. The researchers in the 2022 study specifically timed participants and found that those who lowered in under 3 seconds saw only a 12% improvement in nerve conduction, while those who maintained the full 5-second descent saw the full 33%. That is almost 3 times the benefit just from slowing down. To get maximum results, make sure you keep your knees straight, but not locked during the entire movement. A slight bend is fine, but do not let your knees collapse forward because that shifts the work from your calves to your quads. Also, keep your weight evenly distributed across all 5 toes. Many people with neuropathy unconsciously shift their weight to the outside of their feet because sensation is often better there. Fight that tendency and press through the big toe. A 2023 biomechanical analysis from the University of Michigan found that even weight distribution during calf exercises increased nerve activation in the medial plantar nerve by 26% compared to lateral shifted loading. Do this exercise later in your routine when your calves are already somewhat fatigued from the earlier movements because pre-fatigue muscles recruit more nerve fibers during eccentric contractions. Number 2 is where the science gets really fascinating, so pay close attention. Number 2, tandem walk with resistance and counting. Number 2 is the tandem walk with resistance and counting. And this exercise is special because it attacks neuropathy from two directions at the same time: the physical nerve pathways and the cognitive processing centers that interpret nerve signals. A 2024 study in the journal Neurology tested what researchers call dual-task nerve training on 196 patients with moderate neuropathy, and the results were remarkable. Participants who combined a challenging walking pattern with a simultaneous cognitive task showed 52% improvement in lower limb nerve function compared to just 28% for those who did the physical exercise alone. The brain was literally rewiring itself to pay more attention to signals from damaged nerves when it was forced to multitask. Here is how you do this properly. Set up a straight line on the floor using tape or a piece of string about 15 feet long. You are going to walk heel to toe along that line, placing each foot directly in front of the other so your heel touches the toes of your back foot. While walking, hold a resistance band in both hands stretched out in front of your chest and pull it apart to create tension in your upper body. Now here is the cognitive piece. While you walk and hold that tension, count backward from 100 by 7s. So 100, 93, 86, 79, and so on. This sounds overwhelming, but that is exactly the point. When your brain is occupied with counting, it cannot rely on your eyes to manage balance. It has to delegate that job to the nerve signals from your feet and legs. And that forced delegation is what drives neuroplasticity, meaning your brain physically builds new connections to process those peripheral nerve signals better. The 2024 study showed that this neuroplastic response was detectable on brain imaging scans after just 6 weeks. The somatosensory cortex, the part of your brain that processes touch and body position, actually grew thicker in participants who did dual-task training. To maximize the benefit of this movement, perform 4 complete walks along the 15-foot line, rest 30 seconds between each pass, and switch to different counting patterns. On your second pass, count backward by 3s. On your third, try naming animals alphabetically. The variety prevents your brain from automating the cognitive task, which would reduce the dual task effect. Keep the resistance band tension moderate. You should feel your shoulders and chest working, but the band should not be so tight that it distracts you from the walking pattern. A 2023 follow-up paper found that participants who maintained moderate upper body tension during tandem walking had 19% greater improvements in leg nerve sensitivity because the upper body engagement forced the nervous system to coordinate signals across more regions simultaneously. Do this movement in a hallway where walls are close on both sides so you can catch yourself safely. Perform it barefoot for maximum ground feel sensory input to those healing nerves in your feet. And now for number 1, the single most powerful movement for neuropathy that left researchers genuinely stunned. Number 1, proprioceptive grounding sequence with progressive overload. Number 1 is the proprioceptive grounding sequence with progressive overload. And this is the movement that a groundbreaking 2024 study published in the Lancet Neurology called the most effective non-pharmaceutical intervention for peripheral neuropathy ever documented. The study followed 238 participants with confirmed peripheral neuropathy across 4 medical centers for 16 weeks. Those who performed this specific progressive proprioceptive sequence experienced a 67% reduction in neuropathy symptom scores, a 48% improvement in nerve conduction velocity, and perhaps most incredibly, a 31% increase in intraepidermal nerve fiber density. That last number is the one that shocked the medical community because it means nerves were actually regrowing, not just functioning better, physically regenerating new nerve fibers in the skin of the feet and legs. Most neurologists have long believed that kind of regeneration was impossible in older adults, but this study proved them wrong with biopsy-confirmed evidence. Here is how this movement works and why it is so extraordinarily effective. You are going to stand barefoot on a textured surface. A rubber doormat with raised bumps works perfectly. Begin by simply standing with both feet on the mat, eyes open, and actively pressing each part of your foot into the texture. Press your big toe down hard for 3 seconds. Then your little toe. Then your heel. Then the ball of your foot. You are manually activating every nerve zone on the bottom of your foot individually. After 1 minute of this targeted pressing, close your eyes and begin shifting your weight in slow circles, clockwise for 30 seconds, then counterclockwise for 30 seconds. Now here is where the progressive overload comes in. Each week, you increase the challenge. Week 1, you stand on the textured mat. Week 2, you add a thin pillow under the mat. Week 3, you fold the pillow in half for more instability. Week 4, you hold a light weight, 2 to 5 pounds, in one hand to create asymmetric loading. This gradual progression is absolutely essential because the 2024 study found that participants who increased difficulty every 7 days had 3 times the nerve fiber regeneration compared to those who stayed at the same difficulty level the entire time. The progressive overload forces your nervous system to continuously adapt, and that adaptation is what drives the actual physical regrowth of nerve endings. To get the absolute maximum benefit from this movement, perform it first thing in the morning when your cortisol levels are naturally elevated. The study's lead researcher noted that cortisol, which peaks in the morning, enhances neuroplasticity and nerve growth factor production. Participants who trained in the morning had 23% better outcomes than those who trained in the evening. Spend 5 full minutes on this sequence every single day without exception. Consistency was the single strongest predictor of success in the study. Participants who did it daily saw the full 67% improvement, while those who missed even 2 days per week dropped to only 35%. The researchers concluded that daily proprioceptive stimulus creates a sustained signaling environment that keeps nerve growth factors elevated around the clock, allowing continuous repair. Those are the 6 movements that are genuinely changing what we know about neuropathy treatment. The science is clear and the results are real. Your nerves are not dead. They are waiting for the right signals to start healing, and these exercises deliver exactly those signals. Start with movement 6 today and add 1 new movement each week until you are doing all 6. Be patient with yourself, but be consistent, because consistency is what separates the people who get results from the people who stay stuck in pain. Your body has an incredible ability to repair itself when you give it the right stimulus. If this helped you, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss what is coming next. Thank you so much for watching.